Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Spirit and Truth Sanctuary. We're so glad that you are joining us for our Wednesday night study series. We are still loving our new series, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. It is opening up quite some interesting conversations. We are learning, we're healing, we're helping each other to grow, we're connecting, we're learning vulnerability, courage, empathy, interconnectedness, interdependence. What an amazing journey this has been together. Well, if this is your first time at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, we certainly are glad that you're here. We have adopted a bigger and, I believe, better vision and version of God that is not really connected to any specific religion, but possibly present in most of them. We know that religion tells us what to think. Spirituality teaches us how to think. And so our job is not to teach you anything tonight, but really just to remove the obstacles that keep you from seeing, remembering, recovering, awakening to what you already know. And what is it that you already know? That you are formed in the image and likeness of divinity. You are created by God, creative like God, and creating as a God. Wow, you're a created being, created by a creative creator. And so in this moment, we choose to co-create together the experience, the life that we want to be a part of. Anytime that we can own our lives, step back from it and see what we've created, then we can at any point choose also to recreate it. And so we choose not to take any paths toward denial, toward blame, shame, guilt, any of those projections away from ourselves. First of all, give our power away to something outside of ourselves. But secondly, it puts kind of our life on hold. It's somebody else's fault. It's the devil. It's some person. It's some system. We choose to take our agency back by creating the lives that we want to experience. We've also learned and are learning at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary that we are attempting to live above labels. Labels of race, religion, culture, sexual orientation, country of origin, political parties or affiliations. We're choosing to live above all of those labels that seem to segregate and segment the human family. Soren Kierkegaard said, if you label me, you negate me. Jiddu Krishnamurti believed that labeling or calling yourself a specific label really was a subliminal and subconscious act of violence. If you call yourself a Christian or Muslim or Hindu or black or white or gay or straight or American or whatever the label is, if you call yourself that, you are in some way separating yourself from the rest of humanity. And in that separation, eventually we agree to otherness. We agree to hierarchical systems like caste systems. And eventually we will justify in our minds some type of disenfranchisement, marginalization, and ultimately some type of violence against each other. And so we are learning, as Jesus the Christ said, to worship the Father and Mother God in spirit and in truth, without all of the labels that are attached to that. We are finding in our current study series, The Gifts of Imperfection, that we each week are uncovering something new. The thesis that we're working with is that what we perhaps thought were weaknesses, flaws of some sort in our character, in our lives, in our choices, our decisions, missteps, mistakes, failures, regrets in some way can be turned into these gifts of imperfection. They can turn into courage. They can turn into owning our story and then sharing our story, watching others be comforted, be healed in some way by our story, learning vulnerability, learning to connect with others, learning that we're not supposed to be perfect, because if we're perfect, we don't need anyone else, and we don't allow those gifts, the other gifts that we might need, to help us in our journey. And so each week we're uncovering something that we thought was a misstep or a mistake that is turning into a gift of imperfection. How does Scripture say that? It really says all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to God's purpose. Amen to that. All right. As always, you can download your notes tonight in the event description. Also, we'd love to hear from you. Comment if you'd like to. Ask a question. There's nothing that's out of bounds. There's nothing that would be offensive. What happens Wednesday night stays on a Wednesday night. This is a sacred space that we share together. And so let's just use this teaching tonight really just as an excuse to talk to each other. Amen to that. All right, close those eyes for just a minute. Take a big, deep breath, if you will. As we take and give a breath tonight, we are surrendered to the beginner's mind. We are in celebration of truth as a journey and not as a destination. We empty ourselves of preconditioned ideas, preconceived notions, pregnancies with theologies and philosophies and opinions. We empty ourselves of all of those things. We now find ourselves in the Zen Bardo space, where our cup can be both empty and then filled. We choose to eat organically tonight, not living on the preservatives of what has been said, but we celebrate tonight and surrender to the truth that faith comes by hearing and not by having heard. Holy Spirit, have your way with us tonight. This is our prayer of surrender, also known as the invitation of truth, the way we get our minds, the conditions for our mind and our souls and our superconsciousness to be fed in this time that we share together. Come on, let's read. Spirit of truth, carry me where you will. Bring to me what you will. Take from me what you will. Awaken in me what you will. The Christ man is around me. The Christ mind is in me. The Christ power flows through me. And the Christ mystery exists as me. I believe it. I perceive it. And now I receive it. I am surrendered. Amen. And so it is. Before we begin tonight, our subject tonight is going to be cultivating gratitude. And there are going to be a lot of different nuances to unpack with the ideas of gratitude tonight. What I'd like for you to do is just take a brief moment, and you can do it while I'm just kind of introducing the concepts we're going to talk about tonight. And just think of 3 things that you're grateful for. You don't have to write them down. If you want to put them in your phone, you can, but just have them handy in your mind. I'd like for you to share, if you'd like to, in the chat. Let us know what those 3 things are. I'd like to see what kind of similarities we share with gratitude. And then before we get into the teaching, how might those things change? How might those areas of gratitude change or be reinforced in some way? So think of 3 things. If you'd like to share them with us tonight in the chat, we'll read through some of those at the end. We're going to talk tonight about cultivating gratitude. This is again Brené Brown's Gifts of Imperfection. Earlier, I mentioned how surprised I was to see certain concepts from my research emerge in pairs or groups. These collections of concepts have created major paradigm shifts for me in terms of the way I think about my life and the choices I make every day. Do we think about those things? Do you think about your life, the choices that you make every day? Or do we just kind of float through life as a bystander or someone who's being victimized by other people's decisions? Are we conscious of the decisions that we're making on a daily basis? Whether you know it or not, you're making a decision right now as we sit in this space together. A good example of this is the way that love and belonging go together. Anybody remember asking somebody to go with you when you were younger? Will you go with me? It's funny, the first time some of us heard that, will I go where? Will you go with me? Will you date me? And then sometimes there would be a little, yes, no, and then a maybe box. And if you got a maybe, you were pretty excited. Ooh, somebody's thinking about maybe going with me. Then it turned into I'm talking to somebody, or now it's we're hanging out, or whatever. It all changes. A good example, though, is learning that belonging and love are intrinsically connected. They're connected together. Now I understand that in order to feel a true sense of belonging, I need to bring the real me, come on, let's pause right here, to the table, and that I can only do that if I'm practicing self-love. So, the role-playing of desiring people's affirmation, desiring people to embrace you, trying to fit in, trying to be perfect in some way so that you can get someone's approval, is not practicing self-love. What does Brené Brown bring to us tonight? A true sense of belonging. Not belonging, a belonging that passes with someone's opinions about you, not a belonging that fades as the real you begins to surface because you were the fake you, trying to belong in somewhere that probably was not your vibe or your tribe, okay? The true sense of belonging, okay, necessitates us bringing to the table the real us, the real me, the real you. You cannot truly belong if you're bringing your false sense to the table. Okay, some of us bring a false sense in business meetings when we have to have certain associates. I'm a big boy. I understand adulting. I understand that life happens. However, in that circle of those that we consider our friends, our loved ones, those who are close to our hearts, we cannot truly have a sense of belonging if we don't bring the real us, the real authentic sense of who we are. And furthermore, if we don't bring that real, true, organic, authentic self, we are not practicing self-love. So there's two things that happen. We may feel like we belong, but we really don't because it's not who we are. We're role-playing. Furthermore, we may feel loved, but it's not really love because the love is a false sense of acceptance, and we're not truly loving ourselves, which is the only love you ever really need. If I'm not being myself, I'm not loving myself. Wow, we could just really stop right there, couldn't we? We could just say goodnight right there. That's a lot to chew on. For years, I thought it was the other way around. I'll do whatever it takes to fit in. I'll feel accepted, and that will make me like myself better. Wow, what a paradigmatic shift that is. If people love me, I'll like myself better. Ooh, it never works that way. When I learn to love me, I will attract the people that are on my same vibration, and I will truly feel loved and liked and affirmed and like I belong, because I have to come to the real reality that I am not going to be liked by everyone. I'm not going to be loved by everyone. I'm not going to fit in with everyone. This may be a bit of a difficult example for some of us to hear, but I think truthful parents might be able to embrace this. If it's not for you, throw it out. But a couple of years ago, there was a tragic shooting on one of the college campuses in America, and I don't feel to bring the name up of the college or the university, but the manifesto, the letter that the shooter wrote before he killed, it was 20 or more students, I think, that he shot and killed. He was talking about that girls wouldn't go on dates with him. They wouldn't be his girlfriend. And they began to investigate and pull up the pictures of the names of these girls that he was talking about. And when I saw these girls' pictures on television, now remember, beauty is subjective. It's in the eye of the beholder. I get that. Everybody's beautiful to somebody. But the typical kind of stereotypical supermodel type beauty that Americans have adopted in some ways, the women that came up on these pictures were all 10s. I mean, just like bombshell, knockout, drop dead gorgeous girls. And the young man that shot all these people was not physically, according to what Americans have accepted as some of their standards, not really a physically attractive individual. And so he was trying to fit in with a tribe that was not his. It was not his tribe. It was not his vibe. And because probably he had some type of doting parent or unrealistic parental figure in his life that wouldn't say, hey man, you might need to stay in your lane a little bit. That person, it's not that they're necessarily out of your league, but probably it's going to be a no if you ask them out. Yeah, he was trying to belong somewhere that he would never belong. He was trying to fit in with somebody that was never going to be part of his tribe. And so part of us learning self-love is learning to embrace who we are. I'm short, I'm tall, I'm thin, I'm heavy, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. Embrace who you are. When you truly embrace who you are, you begin to practice self-love, and then you begin to attract others to yourself that are part of that, instead of always trying to fit into some group that you're probably not a part of. I know there's some groups, because of the way I think, the way that I teach, the way that we express spirituality at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, there are some groups I'll never be a part of again. And yet this week, I got confirmation that I'm speaking at a national ministers conference of the unity practice of spirituality. It's very similar to, unity is very similar to religious science or New Thought. I'm speaking at a national ministers conference in September in Asheville, right outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And so I don't fit with the crowd that I used to fit in with. In some ways, I never fit with them. I was just kind of, role-playing to some degree. Now that I'm becoming my true, authentic self in the pulpit and out, all of a sudden there are these other opportunities that begin to open up that may not be where I used to belong, but it is who I am now. And so practice self-love. Bring the real you to the table. Then you will find that belonging happens in a real sense of loving yourself. Okay. In many ways, this research has not only taught me new ways to think about how I want to live and love, it's taught me about the relationship between my experiences and choices. One of the most profound changes in my life happened when I got my head around the relationship between gratitude and joy. We're getting to the crux of the teaching right here. So really listen closely here. I always thought that joyful people were grateful people. I mean, why wouldn't they be? They have all of the that goodness to be grateful for. But after spending countless hours collecting stories about joy and gratitude, three powerful patterns emerged. Now listen to these patterns. Without exception, every person I interviewed who described living a joyful life or who described themselves as joyful actively practiced gratitude and attributed their joyfulness to their gratitude practice. A toast to that. So what does that mean? We're going to revisit this in a minute as well. Joy does not come first. Okay, Sunday we talked about faith not coming first. The shaking comes first. We don't know how to even have faith or hope until things are shaken around us. We don't become joyful first, according to Brené Brown's research. Okay, we become grateful first. Joy follows the gratitude. It is the gratitude that invites the joy into our life. That's blessing somebody because it blessed me. Wow. Number 2, both joy and gratitude were described as spiritual practices that were bound to a belief in human interconnectedness and a power greater than us. So listen to that. The practice of gratitude was founded in this understanding that we are all interconnected to each other and that there is a power that's greater than us, that I would add to, that moves through us, around us, and as us. I am joyful, I am in gratitude because I'm interconnected to everything and everyone. And that same power that I perceive as greater than me is also expressing as me. I'm not separate or other than that power. Whew, that's good there. Number 3, people were quick to point out the differences between happiness and joy as the difference between a human emotion that's connected to circumstances and a spiritual way of engaging with the world that's connected to practicing gratitude. Let's read through that again more slowly and really unpack it. People who lived in joy were quick to point out the differences in happiness and joy. So the working definition we have here is that possibly happiness is something that can come and go. Okay, remember we talked about in 2021, get happy and see what happens, and then we added to it, stay happy and then be happy. Really, what we were saying is we are becoming joy. We are becoming the spiritual, the gift or fruit of the Spirit that is joy, that the world did not give. Okay, external circumstances did not give me joy, and the world cannot take it away. And so it is not at the mercy of anything outside of myself. The difference between a human emotion that's connected to circumstances, that's happiness, and a spiritual way of engaging with the world that's connected to practicing gratitude. Ooh, that's really good right there. I'm not happy because it's connected to circumstances. I am always in gratitude because that is my spiritual practice. That's the way I engage my experience of life and of the world. Really powerful right there. When it comes to gratitude, the word that jumped out to me throughout this research process is practice. I practice gratitude. I don't necessarily think another researcher would have been so taken aback, but as someone who thought that knowledge was more important than practice, I found these words to be a call to action. In fact, it's safe to say that reluctantly recognizing the importance of practice sparked my 2007 spiritual awakening, also known as my breakdown. Ooh, isn't that powerful? Look at that little parentheses right there. Sometimes your greatest awakening is connected to a shaking. A waking is connected to a shaking. Can we say this? Sometimes a breakdown produces a breakthrough. Woo, that's good stuff right there. I've been through a breakdown and it's producing a breakthrough in my life. Really, really good. Keep coming. For years, I subscribed to the notion of an attitude of gratitude. I've since learned that an attitude is an orientation or a way of thinking that having an attitude doesn't always translate to a behavior. This example we're about to read is so good. I want somebody to chew on this right here. For example, it would be reasonable to say that I have a yoga attitude. A yoga attitude. The ideas, the beliefs that guide my life are very much in line with the ideas and beliefs that I associate with yoga. I value mindfulness, breathing, and the body-mind-spirit connection. I even have yoga outfits. Woo! But let me assure you, my yoga attitude and outfits don't mean jack if you put me on a yoga mat and ask me to stand on my head or strike a pose. As I'm sitting here writing this, I've never practiced yoga. Woo! I've got the outfits, I've got the attitude, I've got the belief system, I've got the mindfulness and the breathing, but I've actually never practiced yoga. I thought that was just hilarious and tremendous right there. Yes. I plan to change that. Okay, now Brené Brown is admitting that she projects some things into the future. She's not perfectly awake to her new thought self yet. If she says she plans to change, she's not living in the now. Okay, and so it's okay. Cut her some slack. We all do it. We all live in the future as well as in the now and in the past. It's just part of our spiritual journey. We all do it. I plan to change that between now and the time you're holding this book in your hands. But to date, I've never put the attitude into action. So where it really matters, on the mat, my yoga attitude doesn't count for much. Okay, so what does a gratitude practice look like? The folks I interviewed talked about keeping gratitude journals, doing daily gratitude meditations or prayers, creating gratitude art, and even stopping during their stressful, busy days to actually say the words out loud, I'm grateful for fill in the blank. When the wholehearted talk about gratitude, there are a whole bunch of verbs involved. Verbs, adjectives, nouns, whole lot of words, things that we could say that we are grateful for. Okay, so I put here that this may be a good time to start sharing the things that you're grateful for. And I just put, I'm grateful for fill in the blank. 3 things that you're grateful for. If you can't find 3, one thing that you can be grateful for. This is a practice of gratitude, to verbalize, to say it, to write it down, to chat it, to post it. This is something that's part of my practice of gratitude. It seems that gratitude without practice may be a little like faith without works. It's not alive. Look at James, the Apostle James talking to us tonight. So let's review just a couple of points tonight before we open up for our conversation. 2 points I wanted to bring back to your remembrance. Number 1, gratitude precedes joy. It is not the other way around. So we don't all of a sudden experience joy and then become grateful because of the joy. Brené Brown says in the hundreds and thousands of people that she interviewed, those who have a constant presence of joy in their lives started with being grateful first. I'm grateful, and then joy follows the gratitude. Beautiful. Okay. Secondly, and this is what we just came from, gratitude does not happen by accident. Okay, it's not an attitude. It happens by putting it into practice. We must start practicing gratitude. It's not just about understandings, beliefs, opinions, philosophies about gratitude. You've got to practice it. Say thank you. Say I'm grateful. Say, give in your meditations, in your prayers, in your daily life, stop and pause in a busy day and be grateful for something. I love it at our house where some days I work from home, some days I have to go into the church. But I will pause whether I'm at home or at church and see a hummingbird or a cardinal or a beautiful hawk flying above or a butterfly. I'm grateful for the bees. Some people run away from bees. I know we need bees. They're all over the time, all over the place in springtime. I have not been bitten one time by a bee in the past 15 years, I don't think. I stand there and just give gratitude for the bees that give us honey, that allow our food chain to work. Gratitude, even when you're busy, even when you have sweat running down your face and grass in your hair from being outside pulling weeds, stop and take a big, deep breath and say, God, thank you for a planet that even grows weeds. Thank you for green, for something that's able to grow. The moon doesn't grow anything. Mars doesn't grow anything. The sun can't grow anything. It helps us grow things. Thank you for this green earth, this water, this air, this oxygen that I breathe. There's always a moment, always a time to be grateful for something. Amen. Somebody? All right, let's talk tonight.
All right. Well, I'm compiling the last set of the 3 things that we are grateful for. And so, give me 1 second. This is really good what I'm reading here. Okay, so I have taken them all and combined them rather than read everyone individually. Okay? Because obviously a lot of people wrote some of the same things. It's a long list, but they're all too good. So I have some themes here. So I'll start with, I kind of tried to group them by the ones that were the most common, right? So life. And then someone said, being born in such a time as this and the gift of eternal life. So that was life put several different ways.
Wow.
Yeah.
Life, I'm here at this moment of history. I'm an eternal being having a temporary experience. Beautiful.
The next one is family, friends, relationships. Someone actually wrote loving parents.
Amazing. Isn't that a gift? A gift? Something to be grateful for? All of us have parents that get on our nerves. Guess what? I'm a parent that gets on my children's nerves. Welcome to family. Welcome to love. That's how it works. But guess what? I live daily in the gratitude that my parents love me, that they embrace me, they affirm me. I live daily as an inclusive, interfaith, LGBTQ plus affirming minister in the Southeastern United States of America, that I have 2 Pentecostal parents who have not fought with me for the last 20 years over my theology. What gratitude to have. I live in that daily with my parents. If you're listening to Mom and Dad, thank you. I'm practicing my gratitude. Thank you for giving me enough air to breathe.
Health and healing. My home.
Beautiful.
New beginnings. And then someone wrote, my missteps did not end my journey. Mm-hmm. And then someone else wrote, for my strange past, which gave me hope.
Wow.
I like that.
Listen to that. My missteps, that my path didn't end there. Isn't that describing the gifts of imperfection? What was the very last one you read? Strange.
For my strange past, which gave me hope.
Strange past that gave me hope. What is normal? Wow. Don't we all wake up after some type of shaking? It may not be tragic. It may not be some sort of awful experience. Maybe it's just a shaking of your philosophies, a shaking of your worldview, of your theology, of the way you see the political arena. Whatever it is, we give thanks. We live in gratitude for those things. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing those things.
Yeah. Someone wrote my authenticity. So not just authenticity, but my authenticity.
Owning it. Practicing self-love. I own my authentic self. I love that. 2 Sundays ago, I saw an old family friend. He actually dated my sister for a few weeks, I think, in high school. But went to our church and comes on and off. But he was a tremendous athlete in high school. He was a tremendous basketball player. Ended up having a scholarship to play at Georgia State University. And was a high jumper both in high school and in college. So he was a 2-sport athlete, track and field and basketball. Could just jump out of this world. I remember seeing him play. I was a little younger. I would go see him play and just think, what an athletic gift he is. But he was always very preppy and artsy-fartsy and painted and dressed weird and wore attitude glasses back in the 80s. About? Tony Price.
Oh, okay.
And so he has always been himself. Here he was, played basketball at Southwest DeKalb High School, played against professional players in high school, had a great athletic career, but he never bought into the fact I'm just an athlete. He was artsy, and he was a ballet dancer. He took creative movement. He danced at our church. He painted, he sculpted. And I just love that he was able to be bigger than anybody's stereotype of him. I'm an athlete. I'm an artist. I'm a dancer. I just thought, this guy, and guess what? My children love to be around him. We love to be, he's just the life of the party. We absolutely love being around him. Why? He is his authentic self. He is strange and he's weird, and I love it that he's that way. Who wants to be normal? Be you, be your authentic self. That's how you love yourself, and that's how you get other people to love your true self as well.
So, a couple here, someone wrote being pain-free, retirement, volunteer opportunities, and then someone else said opportunities that allow me to be a blessing to others, learning not to be a worrywart.
Wow.
Love, a lot of people wrote love or the loves of my life, God's blessings and my creator.
So pause for a minute. The love or the loves of my life, what if those relationships end? Okay, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes we go through. Can we be grateful for our past? Guess what? I have am learning to adopt an approach to my spiritual practice that when people come into my life, I celebrate them. And when their season changes and they transition to some degree out of my life, I celebrate the moments I had with them. I used to live in regret and bitterness and feeling abandoned at times and wondering what I did or why couldn't they think like me or connect. Now I just say, God, thank you. Thank you for showing me the people that connect with me. Thank you for what I learned from people who now are maybe in a different vibration. Thank you for the relationships that ended. I learned in many ways the things that I did want and the things that I didn't want. Isn't there gratitude in all of it? That's great. Okay.
All right, let's see here. Peace. Several people wrote peace, uniqueness.
Uniqueness. Love that.
Now we get a little lighter as we go here, but feeling the wind in my face.
The wind, isn't that great on a hot day outside, and just summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Any old school Crosby, Stills and Nash fans out there? I don't care who you are. If you hear the song Summer Breeze, somebody is relaxing listening to Summer Breeze. Great, yeah.
Let's see, breathing in and out.
Just for breath. Wow.
Someone wrote my cat, and I can't believe nobody wrote my dog. Where are all
my
the dog
lovers? Shame on all of us. We should have said
somebody
that.
is thankful for their cat. Someone said moments.
Yep.
And then, I'm not sure the context of this, but somebody wrote erasers.
Erasers. Hey, guess what? Erasers erase things we write. My mother has a metaphorical, what she calls a spiritual eraser. What is that? My mom has been talking, name it, claim it, mind-body connection for many years. So if we would say something, I'm not smart enough to do this. I can't. She would say, and she would act like she had an eraser. I erased that in the heavenlies. You don't say that. God didn't hear that. We're erasing that. Yeah. We're grateful for erasers. Yeah. I love when somebody said, I'm grateful for uniqueness. Ooh, who wants to be boring? Who wants to be status quo? Be unique. Be who you are.
Somebody chimed in about their dog. So
let me say this. You know what? I did an animal blessing. About 20 years ago, I was speaking at a church in Long Beach, California. And so I spoke, I think Sunday morning and then like a Sunday afternoon kind of thing. And at this Sunday afternoon it was an outdoor gathering. The pastor of the church asked me to do a pet blessing. And I was like, do what? And she was like, yes, we want you to pray over people's pets, bless their pets. And I was still a little bit too religious back then. I was like, I ain't about to bless nobody's pet. That's some kind of idolatry or weird. God doesn't want to bless. And she said to me, it's not that we believe that pets are human, but we do believe that they bring joy into our lives. And so we bless the joy that they bring. And now 20 years later, man, I would bless a pet so fast and say, God, thank you for this joy. Thank you for something to meet us at the door when we have a hard day. Something that wags its tail or purrs or rubs against us or says, hey, I love you. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do today. You're my people. You're my person. I love you. Yeah, it's okay to bless our pets. They bless us. And guess what? Their lifespans are a lot shorter than ours. So we celebrate the time we have with them, and we give thanks when they make their transition back to God. We're going to go to dog and cat heaven. Amen, somebody?
Let's see here. Somebody said, when my grandbabies smile and call me TT.
Little TT, yay. Call me TT.
Books, the beach, pasta. And then that person said, oh yeah, and my family in case they read this.
I love it that somebody said, I give thanks for pasta. Isn't that joy? Isn't it good to celebrate foods that we love? I sure celebrate it. Man, when I find certain foods that I'm like, ooh, I'm thankful I found that. I found some ice cream bars a couple of years ago. They're called Yasso. Yasso. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Man, they are fairly healthy, low in calories. Chocolate chip, cookie dough, brownie, peanut butter, raspberry chocolate, mint. I mean, just any kind of flavor you want. I am so grateful for my Yasso bars. If anybody likes Yasso bars, throw me a shout out right there. Yeah, food's okay to be great. It's okay to be grateful for it.
Let's see. So this is hilarious, and I have to say, I'll give you $100 if you could guess who wrote this. But they say Cardi B and Lady C.
Cardi B and Lady C. Rachel Banks right there?
No. I'll give you one more guess. Who regular on Wednesday? I mean, just
Jen Stevenson?
No.
I'm thinking about my musical people.
I know.
People, yeah.
It's so fabulous, Miss Margie.
Cardi B and Lady C in your face. Thank you, Margie. The young spirit that you are. Beautiful.
Hilarious. And then, of course, towards the end, several people talked about Spirit and Truth family. And for us, Pastor D.E. and Brené, which is so sweet. But sweet. Someone wrote in something, I think it was related in my mind to Spirit and Truth family. No longer a prisoner or slave to Christianity.
Woohoo! Get those hands up and tell him thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Buddha. Thank you, Tom Cruise. Thank you, thank you, Oprah Winfrey. Guess what? Brandy and I are going to see Eckhart Tolle in a couple of weeks. I'm so grateful that when I called her and said, hey, buy us some tickets. I want to go see Eckhart Tolle's coming to town, the Fox Theater. I want to see him. I want to hear him in person. I don't, even sitting here at this moment, Brandy and I never had a conversation about, I don't know, it's kind of weird. He's new age. He's new thought. He's self-help. It didn't even cross. I'm so far removed from religion that it didn't even cross my mind. It was just, it's a great thing we should do. I'm grateful to be delivered from religion. Read back two more. There was something that somebody else said something. If you can go back, I wanted to share something.
Well, I mean, no longer a prisoner or slave to Christianity. That one?
And then is there one more before
my
that?
My family, we were talking about the beach, pasta, grandbabies.
Was there one after that?
My family, in case they read this.
Being grateful.
But I will say, somebody commented in dichotomies.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the contradictions. I'm grateful. Here's what it was. A couple of days ago, it was Sunday. I was leaving service, and I'd stayed to talk for about 15 or 20 minutes after service to several people that wanted to see me. And I was walking out to my car, and Rachel Banks and Diane Marshall Froman were standing out in the parking lot. And I just said, okay, ladies, y'all have a great week. And I was just, I'd already spoken to them that day. I was just going to pass by and get in my car and leave. And they stopped me and said, Pastor, we want to say something to you. That we love that you talk to us. We love that you hang out with us. Diane said, I've been to your home. I've been to a restaurant with you. I've done a workout with you. I've had a drink with you. I've had so many social opportunities to connect with you as a human being that I did not have with other ministers, other pastors in my past. I just want to say thank you for that. And I said, I'm so glad. I love being around you. You're a joy. Rachel spoke up and said, Pastor, so many times I come through here, you have grass in your hair, you have a paintbrush in your hand, you have a broom sweeping stairwells, whatever. I want to say thank you for not putting yourself in a place to where, and she said, after being in ministry for 30 years, this August, I will celebrate my 30th year in full-time ministry. 30 years. I started preaching at age 19. Really before that, but not full-time. But at 19, accepted it, started as a youth pastor, have been going full-time since then. She said, how many pastors do I know that have been in ministry 30 years who cut the grass at their church, who sweep the stairwells, who paint the buildings? And I said, Rachel, I love it. It's like therapy for me. I enjoy using my body. I enjoy doing kind of mindless tasks that let me just kind of breathe and get away from any stress about finances or any of these things. And she said, well, I just want to say thank you. It feels like we can approach you, we can talk to you, we can keep it real with you. And I was grateful that they shared that. They didn't have to share it. It touched me in some way, and I was grateful that they felt that. I certainly don't do it. I guess a little part of me does things like that to be seen. I think all of us do, but I mean, during the week when I'm at church, nobody sees me. The parking lot's empty. They don't see me blowing parking lot. I'm grateful that they want to be around me, that they think I'm approachable. Isn't that what we should be experiencing together? Mega churches are awesome. Look, I was raised in the 4th largest church in America. I get big church. Trust me, I get it. We were on international television, the #1 Christian show for probably 30 years, not in America, in the world. I get big church, but there is something that you miss out on in being part of a smaller community where people are approachable and touchable and everyone is just on the journey together. I would not trade it for the world. Thank you.
Well, I saved the best for last.
Yay.
Somebody wrote today.
I'm grateful for today, grateful for this now moment. Isn't that wonderful? I got home from work today about 4:30 or so. I knew I needed to take a quick shower and get dressed for the teaching tonight. And my daughter was coming back in from a workout, and she said, Dad, do you want to go on a walk? And so as we were walking, there would be moments that I would walk out of the sunlight into shade. And I felt myself being grateful for the shade because it was cool. I felt cool in the shade. Then I found myself saying, I'm grateful for the sunlight. I'm grateful that the sun is here. Without it, we wouldn't have food. We wouldn't have a planet that's organic and living. I'm grateful for photosynthesis and all the things that it produces in our lives. And so isn't it interesting to be grateful for the cool and the hot, for the sweet and the sour, for, watch this, for the shaking and the awakening, for the difficulty that lets us learn how to have faith. I'm grateful for the answers and the questions. Grateful for all of it, and I'm grateful for my peoples tonight. I love you guys so much. I love this space that we share together.
We have more comments if we want to keep going.
Yeah, let's maybe just one or two more. Yeah.
Yeah, we have time.
Yeah, let's do it.
That was just all the compilation of all the 3 answers.
I loved it. Thanks for sharing. It was great.
Yeah, that was great. So Miss Roberta wrote in earlier, I think when growing up, we all try to belong somewhere where we do not belong. Maturity is finally figuring out who you are and finding some like minds.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't even, I used to be real critical of people who had cliques. I don't even know that I have that same criticism anymore. Why? Because that is really the law of attraction. I'm critical of people who are judgmental of others, who set up caste systems of importance, I'm critical of an athlete who would criticize someone in the band. I'm critical of an artsy-fartsy person who criticizes a jock. I'm critical of a math genius who criticizes someone who's into gardening. Yeah, I don't think any of us should judge. But guess what? People who like to garden hang out with people who like to garden. People who like to paint hang out with painters. People who like philosophy and theology. Do you know how refreshing the last 2 years have been? It's been a lot of work, of course. I've just sent in my 3rd revision, or second. Probably have to do a 3rd revision of my portfolio and thesis, master's thesis. It's been taxing, but it's been refreshing to be around other philosophers and theologians. It's not that it's a clique. We think about these things. We think about the Bible and who wrote it and how it was constructed and the nuances and the contradictions. I like to be around people who think like that. Doesn't mean that no one else is welcome around us. It's just the law of attraction. And so, never give an apology for the circle of people that you're connected to. It's people that share like minds with you. It is what it is. And so, thank you, Roberta. That's great.
Ivy Jones wrote in, considering my age, I am truly grateful for the direction my spiritual life has taken as a result of our teaching at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary.
Wow.
It has really opened me up to real joy and truth.
Man, it is all over you, Ivy. It's all over you and Miss Margie. I can't even tell you when we reconnected a couple of years back. I remember telling Brandy, I was like, Brandy, Ivy and Margie get it. They connect with it. They're on that vibration. They're on the wavelength. And we have had several talks like, man, they were already there. It's almost like we were in separate spaces and we reconnected and found out we're thinking the same way. The same thing happened with Pat and Herb Hutchinson. Been members of our church for many years, but kind of lost connection for a little season. When Pat and Herb reconnected, I was like, wow, they're in the. Herb was like, DE, I've always thought this way. I've always been in this place. And so I give gratitude for that. Yeah, sometimes we lose connection and then that vibration brings us back together. I'm grateful that we share this space, Ivy. Grateful for you.
So earlier, Miss Irma wrote in, the religious world has a way of snatching away one's happiness, but only if you allow it. Don't allow it.
Don't allow it. Yeah, it's not theirs to give you, right? It's not theirs to give you. Yeah, we talked Sunday about faith in things that we can see. Faith is the substance of things, the evidence of things not seen. And so if you can see a religious person, a religious building, a religious book, it doesn't deserve our faith, and it is not what makes us happy. It is only waking up to our true divine selves that makes us happy. Thank you, Irma.
A couple folks talked about writing in their journals daily. Michelle said, I started writing in a journal daily about 2.5 years ago. I began writing to God, thanking Him for everything. This has changed my life.
Wow.
This lesson speaks to me in a way I can't explain. And then Sheila wrote, I've been keeping a gratitude journal for years. Each day I write down at least one thing I am grateful for. Also, at the end of the day, me and a friend text something we're grateful for.
Isn't that the practice of gratitude? Yeah. I love that you guys shared that. I have 2 little journals. Until this moment, I haven't really specifically called them gratitude journals, but that's really what they are. One is for Esther and one is for Micah. Esther's is a brown leather journal. Micah's is a black leather journal. And I've written to them since before they were alive and in their infancy. All through every stage of their lives. I've probably written, I don't know, maybe 100 or more different things to them that I want them to know in their adult life. And at some point, probably when they get married, I'll give them that journal of the things that I've written to them over the past 25 or 30 years of their lives. And so when I look back at that, it is gratitude for my children. It's gratitude for the difficult things they went through, the learnings, the lessons, what they taught me, how they impacted their mother's gratitude. And sometimes we'll just sit, when we get into a difficult moment as a family, I'll take one of those journals out and say, oh, no. We are not going to let this thing get the best of us. Listen to this, what we have to be grateful for. And so I didn't even realize until this moment I've been practicing a gratitude journal for Esther's 23 for probably about 24 years. And so thank you for sharing it. It is a practice of gratitude.
Bobby commented, be grateful for the negative things that occur in our lives, which turn out to be a lesson learned, and not feeling the need to impress anyone but yourself. Be grateful and content being you.
Isn't that it, Miss Bobby? Yeah. That is the gift of imperfection. All things, not good things, not just good things, all things work together for our good. There's always learning, there's always growth, there's always a chance to connect with others. It's always gratitude. We live there. Thank you, Bobby.
So, Miss Cheryl wrote in several people. I didn't get to everyone's 3 things just because we started compiling, but I wanted to comment on one. She said, I'm grateful for my 26-year-old son who has been my greatest teacher. And I thought that was really good. My
greatest teacher. Isn't that amazing? I'm pulling up right now. Cheryl sent me this beautiful text, and I haven't had time to really digest it. I've just had kind of a crazy week. I had to turn in my second revision of my thesis yesterday. You get all that, Cheryl. And then she sent me something about philosophy and Ralph Waldo Emerson about self-reliance. It's an essay that I read years ago, but also I love Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Soren Kierkegaard. I love all those transcendental thinkers, and so I will reflect on it. Just let me catch my breath. But thank you for sending me that. I love that vulnerability, Cheryl, that our children are our teachers. Sometimes maybe our greatest teachers. We see ourselves in them. We see our reactions to the things they say and do and choose. Isn't that powerful? Our children really are our greatest teachers. I've learned some great things from I've learned how to apologize. Sometimes I've said things that were coarse and unnecessary, and I've learned how to go back and say, that's not what I wanted to say. I'm sorry. I ask you for your forgiveness. And to their credit, they've been very forgiving children of a parent that's not been a perfect parent. I've always had perfect intentions and perfect. I think my love is perfect for them, but my behavior, my choices, my words have not always been perfect. But I've learned how to say I'm sorry. My children have taught me that, hey, sometimes parenting is a learning curve. And so that's great, Cheryl. Thank you. Woo, good stuff tonight. Wasn't this worth our time? Yeah, worth our time. Why will my phone not open up my text message? See if you can. I'm pressing on it. It's acting up. The devil is busy on my.
It opened up right for me.
I have an issue with technology. All right, let's give some shouts out. I think we ran out of time last week. Pastor Don, he said, good session. Thanks for the shout out. I'm so grateful for my kids. We love our dad. We have the best dad in the world, that's for sure. Miss Emma, Alma, Megan, yay. Doreen, Callie, Roberta, Myrna, Sheila, Ethel, Bobby Moore, Miss Sherby, Pastor Fred and Mary, Josephine, Tamara, Tanya, Oprah Winfrey, yay. Taria, Ivy and Marjorie, Sandra Mack, hey Miss Sandra Mack, Sheila, Victoria, Miss Rosaline, yay. Donnie, Irma, Michelle, Maud, Kisa, Pastor Gloria, and Howard. Howard stood Sunday morning at the end of service. I talked to 3 or 4 different people and then to several groups of people. Howard Harris stood for probably 15 or 20 minutes to talk to me, and he and I have had some very important conversations over the years, very private conversations that he and I have shared. He just stood there that long to say, I just want to say I'm thankful for you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the message. That's it. And he walked away. Isn't that powerful? Thank you, Howard. It really touched me. Miss Elaine, Glenna, Cheryl, Laverne, Janila, Miss Jen Stevenson. I was giving you a shout out earlier because of your musical knowledge. Again, I got to see you Sunday. It was good to see you, Jen. Miss Josephine Kennedy, Dr. Sharonda B. Terry Johnson, Dr. Elijah Nicholas. We will get together soon, as soon as I get this graduation done with. I'm almost there. And Lenora Davidson. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight. I did want to make a quick announcement. It's not something that you have to do a lot of planning for. Really, just all you got to do is walk through. But this Sunday, I will open the church house that we've been working on for several months. If you'd like to walk through and just take a glance, maybe we'll probably end service about 11:30ish on Sunday, and you'll still be gone from the church by noon on Sunday. But if you'd like to walk through, you can do a little open house. It's not completely finished, but it's to where it can be seen. And if you're curious, if you're inquisitive, come take a look, and we'll have a few little refreshments and some cookies and things for everybody. And so that's part of it. Yeah, Brandon has an announcement. How about that? She's running around the table.
I ran around the entire room to come tell everybody. Hopefully you can see me. We want to let everybody know that DE's graduation ceremony, which is obviously closed for COVID reasons still, will be live streamed. And they will be providing a link, as I understand it, Saturday morning, May 7th. We are definitely going to send an email out and post that so everybody can get on and watch Pastor DE walk across the stage for his big graduation.
Yay me, yay you, yay for you supporting me. And guess what? Yay for being flexible. We had to change the time of our Wednesday night service, our Wednesday night session, because of my classes. And so I'm looking forward to graduating. Thank you for your love. And hopefully you can join in via that link and celebrate with us. We certainly would love that. All right, thanks for announcing that, Brandy. Okay, let's read our closing affirmation together. Come on, let's read. I am ready to bravely own my story. I accept myself, my imperfections, and my uniqueness. I will find the courage to be vulnerable, honest, and open. Amen. We love you guys. Go in peace. May God bless you.